If you love Name Explain, then please consider leaving a super thanks in the comments of this video. It's a great way to make a one-time donation to the channel and help support Name Explain.
X is one of the strangest letters in the English language and its alphabet. It arrived in English via Latin, and it arrived in Latin from not one previous language and their alphabet, but two. The shape of the letter X came into the Latin alphabet from the Greek alphabet and their letter of chi. The Greeks in turn got this letter from the Phoenician alphabet and their letter of samek. In Greek, chi made something of a KH sound. However, in the Chalcidian alphabet, which is a Western version of the Greek alphabet, they had a more definitive KS sound. So the Romans took the shape from the Greek chi and the sound from the Chalcidian alphabet and mushed them together to give us the letter X and its stereotypical KS sound that it has most of the time in English. I say most of the time because unlike most other letters, X hasn't got one defined sound when said in a vacuum. This lack of one cohesive sound for the letter X is thanks to this fairly muddled history, meaning it has been used to make different sounds in different situations. Most of the time, especially when at the end or middle of a word, it makes a sound akin to a KS sound, as we mentioned. We hear this pronunciation in words like fox and box. However, it also sometimes makes a Z-like sound when said at the start of a word, like xylophone. Sometimes we also just say the letter, like in X-ray. To make matters more confusing, it makes other sounds in other languages too, like how in Spanish it can make something akin to an SH sound when said at the start of a word. Likewise, in Mandarin, X also makes something similar to an SH sound, but not quite. All these different pronunciations has left the letter X in a bit of an odd spot. In English, it isn't really used all that much in words, especially at the start of words. It's worth 8 points in Scrabble, which tells us just how underused it is. Its lack of use in words is mainly down to the fact that while it can make different sounds, all these sounds can instead be made with more commonly used letters like K, S, and even Z. Yet the thing about the letter X is that despite the fact we don't use it all that much in words, it has still found a ton of other uses. Other than being used to represent a specific sound like many other letters, X is also used to represent ideas ranging from love to mystery and the unknown. And of course it appears in maths all the time. It's weird that this letter is kind of more at home in maths than in language, which are often seen as polar opposites of one another. Like you are probably more likely to see X in a maths class than in a language class. X has also become pretty symbolic too, more so than other letters, due to the fact it has links with mysteries we mentioned. Something that helps the letter X and its image is the fact that it's the same shape as a cross, one of the most primitive shapes us humans could create. Crosses too represent mystery, like a cross on a pirate map, but also represent danger and something that is wrong, like a crossed out answer on an exam paper. And of course, crosses have deep links with religion too. It's a shape we've put a lot of symbolism in, and the letter X is the same shape as it. This all puts X in a really odd place. While the language isn't used all that much, outside of language it has garnered many purposes. In fact, it might have more use outside of language than it does within it. And when I say in language, I mean specifically in words and whatnot. You know what I mean. Its biggest claim to fame has to be the fact it is the letter linked with mystery and the unknown. X seemingly became the mystery letter thanks to the role it plays in maths, more specifically algebra. In algebra, X is used to represent unknown numbers that mathematicians or bored kids in school need to figure out. We aren't entirely sure how exactly X, out of all letters, came to be the one used in algebra, but the most popular theory has it being tied to a translation issue. Algebra started life in the Arabic-speaking world. What's interesting is that ancient algebra was completely written out in words, unlike how we write maths equations today with specific symbols. One of the words that appeared frequently in these maths equations was the Arabic word of al-shalan, which means unknown thing, where it would be used in sentences like 2 unknown things equal 10, with the unknown thing in this case being the number 5. Hey, look, we did some maths, neat. Eventually, Spanish scholars came across these Arabic maths papers and wished to understand and translate them. There was a slight issue, however. Spanish doesn't naturally have an SH sound in it, and as you can see, that Arabic word of al-shalan does feature the SH sound. So when it came to translating this word into Spanish, they replaced the SH with an SK-like sound, and this sound is represented in Greek with the aforementioned chi letter, which is shaped like an X. This was then translated yet again into Latin, where it was replaced with the actual letter X, and eventually just shortened to X. This is just a theory on the matter, of course, but it's one that makes sense and is one of the best possible explanations we have as to why X became the letter to represent unknown numbers in algebra. Another theory is that X in algebra comes from the Arabic word for thing, shai, which was then translated into Greek as chi and then shortened to just X. Whatever the case, it seems to come from people struggling with the Arabic sh sound. Of course, X has another use in the world of numbers too, one that is far less unknowing. In Roman numerals, the letter X is used to represent the number 10. Like with algebra, we aren't entirely sure why X was used for 10, which is really annoying as we know most of the other ones, like how I was used as it looks like a single finger, V was used for 5 as it looks like a thumb and index finger when holding up 5 fingers, and C and M were used for 100 and 1000 respectively, as their words for those numbers started with those letters. X for 10 is the black sheep in all of this. The leading theory is that it might have been chosen as X looks somewhat like two V's sat on top of one another, with the lower one being upside down. Two V's equal two 5s, so it makes 10. But that's just a theory, but there is some logic in it, I suppose. Anyway, whatever the case, X ended up being the letter of mystery and unknowing in the realm of mathematics, and it was from here that X started to be applied to other mysterious unknown things too, outside of the world of maths. Often when things beyond numbers were unknown, they would be marked with an X, and this all stemmed from algebra. Like when someone didn't know their name or know how to spell it, they would just sign things with an X. There's even the whole saying of sign your X on the line. X being used in lieu of a name dates back to the Middle Ages. X would then get applied to a mysterious new kind of radiation in 1895 when physicist Wilhelm Lonting discovered it. He dubbed them X-rays as their nature was mysterious and unknown. And very famously, civil rights activist Malcolm Little changed his last name to X, becoming Malcolm X. This was to highlight the lost and unknown true last names of many African Americans who lost their names when brought from Africa to the USA. We actually have a whole video on his life and name from a few years back, so go watch that if you want to. X was on its way to gaining its shroud of mystery. Though what's really interesting is that what really helped X become the letter of mystery and the unknowing was the world of science fiction and real world technology. There's loads of fictional worlds and characters that heavily feature X in them to denote mystery, and many pieces of technology use X in their name too. It's thought that X became a mainstay of sci-fi and tech because a lot of people who make technology or create science fiction have backgrounds in mathematics, especially in regards to technology. They would have already been using X to represent the unknown, so it was an easy transition into other areas too. Take things like the X-Men, the X-Files, and many various Mr./Mrs./Dr. X's, which have graced popular culture. Likewise in tech we have DirectX from Microsoft, which would go on to become the namesake of their Xbox series of consoles. Apple once released the iPhone X, which broke away from their numbering system, but was also an ode to their 10th anniversary. And their Mac operating system used to be called OS X. And Sony of course have their Xperia line on mobile phones. X is all over the place in science fiction and technology, which has helped propagate its idea as being the mysterious letter. Tony Thorne, director of the Slang and New Language Archive at King's College London, spoke about this, saying that X is the only letter of the alphabet not to feature in many everyday words, but to also appear in multiple mathematical and technical contexts, which baffle and intrigue most of us techno-illiterates. So basically, thanks to maths and nerds, X became this ominous letter of intrigue and mystery. X also has some much more positive meanings too. It is of course used to represent kisses at the end of a message, from letters and birthday cards to more modern times where they can dictate how into you someone is by the amount they leave. Once again, we aren't entirely sure as to why X became the letter for kisses, but we do of course have a theory. The idea is that X as a kiss initially represented Jesus Christ, and putting one at the end of a message would highlight that you were blessing someone with Christ. Jesus became linked with the letter X due to the Holy Cross, and the fact that Christ in Greek starts with the Greek letter of chi, which looks like an X in English, Christos. This is also where we get Xmas from too. It is then theorized that when someone would receive a letter with this X representing a blessing from Jesus at the bottom of it, they would kiss it themselves in thanks. This slowly then transitioned from being Jesus to representing the kiss like we know it today. We do also use O to represent hugs, but that's a tad more unknown. And of course, X also has a more X-rated meaning too. This letter has become linked with content like movies that have been deemed suitable solely for adults. This might be because of how violent they are or because of how steamy they are, shall we say. This origin comes from various film classification boards from around the world, which use letters to represent their ratings, and they chose X as their highest rating, most likely due to the fact that X already had that image for itself. In the USA, the X rating was first introduced in 1966. As film classification boards can't really copyright a letter, many places pride themselves on being X-rated, wearing it as a badge of honor, or even going further with being XXX, but we don't need to go that far. X really might not have all that much to offer us in the realm of language. It isn't used all that much in words, and when it is, its pronunciation can vary greatly. But it's from this lack of use in words that has allowed X to take on so many other roles outside of just being used in words like every other letter. It can create intrigue, puzzle mathematicians, or even show someone how much you love them. It's something I find fascinating and just wanted to share my thoughts on it all with you. And if you enjoyed that and would like to know more about what I'm thinking, then why not follow me on the social media platform that has the name of Threads? What did you think I was going to say? This video topic was suggested by Grey Computer over on my Patreon. Every Wednesday, I put up a video request post over on my Patreon for my awesome patrons to leave video ideas on. I then pick one of those ideas to be turned into a video the following Wednesday. So if you have a great idea for a Name Explain video and wish to enjoy Name Explain videos ad-free, as well as get exclusive content and your name at the end of these videos, then why not support the channel on Patreon? It takes just $1 a month to help the channel in a huge way and gets you all of these amazing benefits. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below.
Name Explain depends on viewers like yourself supporting the channel financially on Patreon, so a huge thank you to everyone who does. Donating just $1 a month helps the channel amazingly and gets you bonuses including ad-free videos, exclusive content, the power to request ideas to be made into actual Name Explain videos, and your name at the end of the video with all these awesome people. Visit patreon.com/nameexplain or click the link down below to find out how you too can support the channel. Thank you. Thanks for reaching the end of the video. Why not watch another and subscribe to keep up to date on all things Name Explain. You can find myself on Instagram where I'm NameExplainYT and join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain to talk with myself and other name nerds. All that will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and once again, thank you all so much.